Get ready for some intense action, because we are diving straight into the matchup nightmare brewing between San Antonio Spurs guard Stephon Castle and Minnesota Timberwolves star Julius Randle. This is a tough defensive battle where the smaller guard is putting serious pressure on the veteran big man, and we break down exactly how this dynamic is playing out in the playoffs.
Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to hold it with one hand? The PopSocket's Pop Grip gives you a secure grip, works as a phone stand, and even lets you swap the top for a fresh new look. Simple, useful, and perfect for everyday phone use. Click the link in the comments to grab yours on Amazon.
Next up, we look at the explosive drama from Game 4, where Victor Wembanyama shockingly ejected from the game after a vicious elbow to Naz Reid. We examine the unbelievable moment that turned the tide in the series and what that action meant for the entire contest. We then analyze the fallout from that ejection, focusing on the decision that Victor Wembanyama will not face a suspension for Game 5. We discuss the reactions from coaches and the league regarding this disciplinary decision and what it signals for the rest of the series. Finally, we break down the expert commentary from Brian Windhorst on Victor Wembanyama's actions, calling it an immature act, and what this means for the future of the superstar. Don't miss a second of this analysis. Stay locked in, and tell us what you think about this massive playoff showdown. San Antonio Spurs guard Stephon Castle is proving to be a disruptive force in the playoffs, specifically targeting Julius Randle, the Minnesota Timberwolves veteran big man. Despite being a smaller player, Castle has become one of the league's premier defenders, and matchup tracking data reveals that Randle has been the player Castle has bothered most throughout the series. Castle acknowledged the challenge in the locker room after Game 4, noting, "He's very physical, it's a tough matchup. He's more of a 4, a bigger player, so he uses his body a lot." Data confirms Castle has spent significantly more time on Randle than on any other opponent in the playoff run, leading the metrics in possessions tracked by the NBA. The statistics paint a clear picture of the struggle for Randle. He has been shooting just 5 for 18, resulting in a dismal 27.8% from the floor, managing only 1 assist to 7 turnovers, and coughing it up an average of 4.5 times per game. This dynamic is proving highly effective for the Spurs. The strategy works because shorter, stronger defenders with a lower center of gravity can disrupt big men, especially when anchored by an elite rim protector. Castle exploits Randle's tendency to operate in the post. When Randle attacks the paint, the ball frequently finds Castle's hands. Furthermore, guarding Randle provides the Spurs a tactical advantage, allowing them to set monster screens for Randle that function better when he picks and rolls or pops, a strategy that could be complicated if you were screening for Anthony Edwards. In Game 4, Randle was held to 12 points on 5 for 12 shooting and 6 turnovers. Despite his struggles, Randle was a significant difference maker, grabbing 4 offensive boards, which, combined with Rudy Gobert's 6 boards, contributed to Minnesota scoring 24 second-chance points in their victory. The Spurs' success in this matchup stems from Castle's ability to adapt, learning to limit the physical drawbacks while maximizing the advantages of guarding a big man. Castle admitted the toughest challenge is managing Randle's physicality, stating, "I feel like the toughest thing with him is keeping him off the glass and trying not to foul, trying to combat his physicality. He asserts, he hits first on offense. Just trying to withstand that without fouling is probably the toughest part." The Minnesota Timberwolves secured a crucial victory in Game 4, tying the series against the San Antonio Spurs, in a thrilling contest defined by an on-court confrontation involving Victor Wembanyama. The game featured a dramatic moment when Wembanyama, known for his exceptional talent, was ejected after committing a flagrant foul on Naz Reid. Crew chief Zach Zarba confirmed the ejection, citing wind-up, impact, and follow-through above the neck of an opponent, upgrading the contact to a flagrant foul penalty too. At the time of the incident, the Timberwolves held a 2-point lead, 38-36, with 8:39 remaining in the second quarter. Wembanyama's uncharacteristic outburst significantly shifted the momentum in favor of the Wolves. The Timberwolves' performance was characterized by strategic adjustments and clutch plays. While Victor Wembanyama was sidelined, the team demonstrated resilience, flipping a 4-point deficit into an 8-point lead in the second half with a 22-10 run. Coach Chris Finch emphasized the importance of smart basketball, noting that turnovers were key to changing the game. The Spurs fought back, finding clutch scoring from Anthony Edwards, who delivered a series of impactful shots in the fourth quarter, including a contested pull-up jumper and a fadeaway jumper, contributing 16 points in the final period. The Wolves responded decisively, capitalizing on opportunities to secure the win. Finch and the team unveiled their big people lineup in the fourth quarter, featuring Gobert, Julius Randle, and Naz Reid in the frontcourt, alongside Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards in the backcourt, to generate crucial interior scoring. This lineup proved effective, culminating in a decisive sequence where Naz and Randle drew defenders, leading to an and-one dunk for Gobert and an uncontested dunk for Randle, pushing the score to 107-101 with less than 2 minutes remaining. With the series now reduced to a best 2-out-of-3 format, the focus shifts to Game 5 in San Antonio. While the Spurs are favored to advance, the Timberwolves possess valuable playoff experience, having navigated intense moments previously. The outcome of the next 2 games will determine the series' trajectory, with the potential for a Game 7 adding an extra layer of intensity to the contest. San Antonio Spurs center Victor Wembanyama will not face further disciplinary action following his ejection during Game 4 of the second-round playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. A league source confirmed that Wembanyama will not be suspended for Game 5 and will not receive an additional fine for elbowing Timberwolves center Naz Reid in the neck during the game. The incident occurred in the second quarter of the Spurs' 114-1-9 loss on Sunday. Officials ejected Wembanyama after a lengthy review of the play and assessed him with a flagrant 2. Spurs coach Mitch Johnson addressed the possibility of a suspension for the next game, stating, "I don't know the legality or the rules, but there was zero intent. They did what they did because of the outcome of the play, so be it. But to have anything on top of that would be ridiculous." Wembanyama, who is this season's NBA Defensive Player of the Year, was on a strong run before the ejection. The incident took place after Wembanyama grabbed a rebound over Reid, where he was subsequently trapped by Reid and Jaden McDaniels. The Spurs center then swung a high elbow that landed on Reid's neck, causing the Timberwolves' big man to fall. The Spurs led for much of the second half before the Timberwolves mounted a fourth-quarter comeback, highlighted by Anthony Edwards' 36 points. Coach Johnson expressed his relief regarding the situation, saying, "I'm glad Wembanyama took matters into his own hands. Not in terms of hitting Naz Reid, by all means, I'm being very clear about that. I'm glad Naz Reid is okay, and I didn't want him to elbow him, but he's going to have to protect himself if they're not, and I think it's disgusting." ESPN was the first outlet to report that Wembanyama would not face further disciplinary action. The San Antonio Spurs suffered a disappointing loss in Game 4 of their second-round series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, a contest significantly overshadowed by the ejection of Spurs star Victor Wembanyama following a vicious elbow to Naz Reid. Wembanyama managed to avoid a suspension for Game 5, a decision confirmed by the league on Monday after the incident. Despite avoiding suspension, Wembanyama is facing intense scrutiny from the NBA media following what was widely perceived as intentional dirty play, including commentary from ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst. Windhorst criticized the on-court reaction, stating, "This was a very immature act by a player who took himself out of the game to act like he didn't know what the results were on the bench. Wemby is one of the smartest young players. He knew exactly what he had done." Following the ejection announcement, Wembanyama displayed visible confusion on the bench, reportedly asking teammate Harrison Barnes if he had been ejected before greeting his teammates and returning to the locker room. While some observers pointed to Ron Artest's previous 7-game suspension for elbowing James Harden as a potential precedent for Wembanyama's situation, the NBA ultimately opted not to suspend one of its premier assets for a crucial Game 5. The Spurs initially performed well in Wembanyama's absence on Sunday, but the team ultimately faltered in the fourth quarter, leaving them in a best-of-3 series format while retaining home court advantage. Game 5 is scheduled for Tuesday evening at 8:00 p.m. ET in San Antonio.